A full moon in Virgo occurs on March 16, 2014 at 10:09 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 1:09 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or 5:09 p.m. Universal Time. In tropical astrology, the conjunction of the Sun and the Moon will result with Father Sun and Mother Moon rising in the same zodiac sign of Pisces. This is considered to be the beginning of the monthly emotional cycle of humanity here on Earth. This is a great time for setting our positive intentions to match with our immediate and long-term goals. The full moon is an auspicious time to assess how much progress that we have made since the purifying and reorganizing of our homes and lives that began at the start of the new moon. All of the purging and purifying that we do at the new moon maximizes our potential to meet life's challenges head-on by the time we reach the full moon. The continual cycle of planning and evaluation supports us in renewing our commitment to our dreams while allowing us to place our best foot forward. It is not a time to compare or contrast our accomplishments to the successes of others, but rather it's a time to assess the scope and impact of your personal best. Aligning your intentions with the outcome helps you to enjoy positive reinforcement while keeping you on task with healthy and sustainable actions that lead to long-term satisfaction. The 2 weeks leading up to the full moon in Virgo is a breathtaking, magical, whimsical time for some of us and a confused, nebulous, and overly sensitive time for others. Tune into your dreams and think outside of the box. 2014 is the year of the Greenwood horse. The horse in Eastern astrology is the 7th of 12 archetypes, and it represents a year of individual progress and active collective revolution through evolution. Wood is considered the luckiest element for the year of the horse to take place. Since the horse itself is considered to be of the fire element, be careful with being careless in your pursuit of adventure. Horses are considered to be magical, auspicious creatures of fortune that are related to Neptune-ruled Pisces in the west and healing goddess Kuan Yin in the east. Let your horses run wild, as this is a year of freedom and breakthrough on financial, physical, and emotional levels. The full moon in Virgo represents the transition from the winter season to the spring season in the northern hemisphere and the transition from the summer season to the fall season for our loved ones in the southern hemisphere. This coming season, we will experience the 5th of 7 heavenly exact squares between Uranus in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn. The gonging of the energies will circulate through the poles of the planets and solar flares as they resonate a message of change from the heavenly macrocosm through the earthly microcosm. The full moon in Virgo places emphasis on all forms of communication due to Virgo's association with the planet named after the Roman messenger god Mercury. This year, the cosmic magician Mercury went retrograde in the sign of Pisces all the way back to 18 degrees Aquarius between February 6th and February 28th. The trickster returns back to the point that he went retrograde at 3 degrees Pisces on March 17th, just in time for a pint of green ale. Expect Mercury to go retrograde 2 more times this year. Since Mercury takes only 88 Earth days to travel around the Sun, we will experience retrograde on June 7th and October 4th, respectively. So be prepared to redo, retry, and revisit anything in your life that can stand improvement. Why are retrogrades important? Well, retrogrades are important because they're supposed to be a time of reflection, refocus, revision, and renewal. All planets have a retrograde cycle that are supposed to impact you according to the qualities that they govern. Since Mercury governs communication, small trips, and the lower octaves of the mind, the speed of thought seemed to outrun our ability to communicate in clear and simple ways. It was as if our mouths were not nimble enough to keep up with the electrical currents of Aquarius and its higher octave ruler, Uranus the Awakener. Now that we've checked in with the herald of the cosmos, let's check in with the goddess of love, Venus. Venus is usually within 48 degrees of the sun and changes zodiac signs roughly every 4 to 6 weeks on average, unless it's during her retrograde phase. Venus went into Capricorn in November 2013, but then turned retrograde at the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. Venus returned from the shadowy underworld of the retrograde cycle just in time to greet the new moon in Aquarius, January 30th. Venus, also known as Inanna, Juno, or Isis, moved into Aquarius March 5th of 2014. According to Kaye Sweetman of Empowering Astrology, this is a place where Venus is considered to be wonderfully weird, expressing herself in cutting-edge or eccentric ways. Sounds like the off-kilter orbit of Aquarius to me. The goddess of love will move into Pisces April 5th, 2014. Hopefully, Venus will harmonize with Pisces and spread compassion and empathy across the cosmos. We will need all of the harmony we can get to ease the impact of the exact square between Uranus and Aries and Pluto and Capricorn anticipated for April 21st. Cardinal squares got you nervous? Take a page out of Marina's playbook at Dark Star Astrology. Be mindful that with free will, it's really up to us to turn what could be the cross of crucifixion into a supportive grand square. Let's take a step back and revisit the fourth planet from the Sun, Mars. Mars turned retrograde March 1st and will retrograde through May 20th of 2014.
Aw, shit.
Where Mercury retrogrades have impact on communication and travel, Mars retrograde cycles tend to impact conflicts and the direction of energy and our consistency with taking action. Mars is currently in Libra for tropical astrology, or Virgo according to sidereal astrology. Mars in Libra represents the diplomatic, loving energies of Libra in the 7th house, attempting to harmonize with the provocative and militant manifesto of this archetype god of war. In short, there is a yang planet in a zodiac sign with a yin attitude. This is yet another example of how the ebb and flow between the sacred masculine of heaven and divine sacred feminine of the earth play out in the philosophy of the stars. Mars retrograde is a great time to focus your energy on reevaluating old projects that you started and outlining how you're going to finish them instead of starting new ones. Let's just skip over that messy Maldekian graveyard called an asteroid belt and check in on the king of the gods, Jupiter. Jupiter is stationed direct in its 12-month journey through the sign of Cancer on its way to Leo. After adding to the dueling techno of freedom-loving Uranus and Aries, along with the draconic authority of Pluto and Capricorn, the push for individual sovereignty and collective order continued to spark resistance and revolution around the globe. It looks like that jump back to normal space from retrograde caused many of us to be thrown or kicked forward. I guess that's progress. Jupiter in Cancer will continue to add to the swell and shifting of fortune that underscores the upcoming Grand Cross, while Saturn in Scorpio's descent into its retrograde underworld plays hide and seek with all of our personal and professional boundaries. The Sun in Pisces opposes the full moon in Virgo on March 16th, while the Lord of the Rings Saturn swivels his hips in reverse retrograde motion. The solar wind from Saturn's cosmic hula hooping are blowing away all of the boundaries between family and humanity in an effort to wake us up to our symbiotic truth. We are all one. Empathy, warmth, and compassion will be the general tone of intangible flights of imagination and fancy, while Saturn, the way shower, inspires and pushes the truth on all of the dreamers by placing the burden of proof at their feet. feet which will have to be firmly on the ground to earn the credibility and support necessary to build a more sustainable foundation for the future. Since Saturn is retrograde in Scorpio, don't be surprised when all of your expectations and routines are disrupted, shaken up, and realigned. Remember that Pan is associated with Saturn through Capricorn, the sea goat. Why is this important? Because as a creature of habit, you may discover that any attempt to regain or maintain control and routine could potentially throw you into a labyrinth of panic. Since the Virgo archetype is about the realignment of resources to create a stronger community, remember that physical reactions and overreactions are quite normal. Virgo's association with the stomach and nervous system is simply another form of biological communication. Anxiousness that emerges because of our desire to create logical solutions often create the intersections that help us bring our mind, body, and spirit into conjunction. Like astrology king Jamie Partridge says, you can share your emotional and sensitive side thanks to this full moon. Any heated passions, broken hearts, or whatever has been developing over the past few weeks can now be let out of your body so you can relieve the tension and heal yourself and others. Virgo is the sixth sign of the zodiac ecliptic. It is a mutable earth sign that is tethered to Pisces the fish, its complementary zodiac counterpart, which can be found in the 12th house. Pisces is connected to the Neptune archetype, dealing with imagination, escape, and release, while Virgo is associated with duty, precision, and organization. The common denominators for these two zodiac signs are love and service to the family and community. Pisces is about what you gotta be like for yourself so that you can be a fully functional, organic co-creator with other cosmic citizens. Virgo is about what you gotta be like in the community of the cosmos so that there is the means to have a foundation to build your dreams. In mathematics, the Vesica Pisces represents the architecture of the quantum world through sacred geometry. Virgo, on the other hand, represents our alleged companion star Sirius and the Virgo supercluster of galaxies to which our galaxy, the Milky Way, is a resident. All concepts of the macrocosm and the microcosm play out in both the finite and infinite relationship of Virgo and Pisces. The balance of Virgo and Pisces can help us through the most challenging energies that we may experience with the cosmic weather this season. Let's catch up to Captain Capricorn for some goat-losophy. What do you say about the cosmic weather this season, Captain?
The one thing that many of my fellow energy reporters have been receiving about this particular time is the necessity of holding the line vibrationally in a place of love and compassion to further stabilize the planetary grid.
And so it goes. Love and compassion are the most heroic choices you can make this year. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Jupiter stationed direct and expelled a lot of energy with a very exaggerated crack of thunder. Jupiter in Cancer continues to reward us with emotional and domestic fortune while expanding our thirst for challenges and spiritual growth. Saturn in Scorpio is now retrograde, encouraging us to explore the shadows and the cavern of our own emotions. Time to step away from being an engineer and embrace being an artist. This may be a time when drawing outside of the proverbial lines leads to the quantum leap of innovation and genius. The energy from Mars retrograde in Libra is very potent but unfocused. This is a great time to channel the potency into healing with Chiron and Pisces using the art therapy available through Neptune in Pisces. Remember, you are an agent of the Renaissance. Cancer drive and wisdom reminds us that our social mask can protect us like an armored crab shell or imprison us like the gates of Hades. Now it is time to surf the waves of oscillating fortune as Jupiter and Saturn switch places in the underworld of retrograde, just like Chiron and Prometheus. Only Cancer knows how deep the caverns of courage run in the human psyche. As the large waves of the coming Grand Cross approaches, this cardinal leader knows that you can either retreat in futility or put on your crab shell of armor and get ready to boogie board on top of the tsunami of change. Pisces' drive and wisdom reminds us that the common denominators for life and death are change and healing respectively. We can choose the path of Mars and swim directly towards all of our challenges and goals, or we can drift faithfully towards our destiny with a sense of eternal certainty. We don't need the satellites of reflection, such as fear and dread, reflecting off of our shields, providing that we swim in a straight martial line in a wave of directed change. We can also choose the path of least resistance and escape by swimming to the deep, dark Neptunian depths if we allow ourselves to be anchored to our emotions. Use the triumph over your emotional past to help you escape your sea of sensitivity and consider serving as a lighthouse of hope for many seekers that can benefit from your experience. Scorpio drive and wisdom reminds us that passion can give you the strength to escape challenges or ignite the burning desire of purpose and productivity. The heroic Scorpion knows how easy it is to burn out in love, career, and life in general. In 2014, we must ride the greenwood horse of hope because it serves as our personal chariot of fire. Perhaps it serves you best to remember that the desire for that which you want is greater than that which you may fear. All 7 personas of Scorpio know that our desires can make us productively driven or destructively obsessive if we don't balance planning with flexibility. This April and May, set your intentions to smoking hot and ascend to the heights of personal potential on the back of the transcendent Phoenix. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The sun goes into Aries March 20th at 4:57 Universal Time, just in time to start the Square Dance Festival that will keep us in a cosmic do-si-do through April. The cosmic titans, led by Uranus the Awakener, will be squaring and activating with conjunctions, oppositions, and squares designed to liberate you from being stuck in the middle of old patterns. The limitations of institutional authority over individual sovereignty will be questioned and redefined as Pluto turns retrograde within 9 hours of the full moon in Libra. This full moon will be a total eclipse in the sign of Libra in tropical astrology and a total eclipse in the sign of Virgo in sidereal astrology. With Mercury zipping from Aries to Taurus in April, expect that there will be some shakeups and blunt conversations to reinforce the shifting of change. Leo drive and wisdom reminds us that drama, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. So don't be afraid of a little tetrahedron drama and change to beautify the landscape for your pride. Focus the Cosmic Kitty's solar plexus superpowers by expressing who you are and what you want so that you can find your authentic place within the framework of the larger tree of life. Remember that attending to the details is not the same as letting the details weigh you down. Leo knows that when others don't relate, it's okay to leave them in the shadow of their own hate. Sagittarius drive and wisdom reminds us that missing the target does not mean your aim is bad. The teacher of heroes knows that in the year of the horse, there are so many fiery variables at play that the weight of your focus should be just as much on your aim as it is on achieving a successful outcome. Chiron knows that the blunt energies of Mars retrograde means that there will be a lot of bumps and bruises to go along with the growth and changes that are certain to manifest this season. Aries drive and wisdom reminds us that patience is a virtue that everyone must remember when dealing with the demands of Aries timelines. Aries knows that the anticipation of moving a project from thought to fruition can cause people to flare up if we don't define all the boundaries in the very beginning. Consider the value of redirecting restlessness into progress and liberating yourself from any project that involves too much thinking. Emperor Aries knows that mistakes can be fixed and encourages you to step away from the illusion of perfectionism and embrace the creative fires of sovereignty rewarded to us when we take more provocative chances. Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. Mercury slips into Pisces for the end of March, while Mars in Libra turns up the heat on our passionate emotions. Ceres, goddess of nature, and Vesta, the eternal flames of home, will join Mars in Libra on April 21st. Since Saturn and Pluto will also be in retrograde, every change involving debt, cooperation, independence, and autonomous freedom will be thrown into the cosmic blender of creation and destruction. As usual, the octahedron air sign continuum knows that engineering a solution is as easy as taking a deep breath in the eye of any storm. Libra driving wisdom reminds us that partnership must be forged like swords for a knight or words in a courtroom. The conflict that emerges this season is not meant to create bitterness or disappointment. Conflict is meant to prepare you to see every angle in the equation of strife and discord. Keeping the focus on a fair outcome for all stakeholders is the daybreak or masterpiece in the art of Libra co-creation. Libra knows that the seeds of each success is usually germinated with disappointment and failure from the past. The scales of justice often tip towards wisdom over arrogance whenever a conflict manifests, so be prepared to accept the good with the bad for a holistic approach that produces winning outcomes. Aquarius driving wisdom reminds us that pioneering is not always the best form of leadership unless you're committed to finishing that which you start. Aquarius knows that the best way to take on any hero's journey is to remember not to be frozen by the mortal fear of overthinking. Life as a system buster doesn't always mean that you will be released from your forward-thinking prison, even if you only gave fire to humanity. Since Aquarius is the zodiac sign associated with Noah's Ark and the Epic of Gilgamesh, this forward-thinking bohemian understands why change and purification is just another part of the cycle of life. So make each choice knowing that you can always manifest a better alternative. Gemini driving wisdom reminds us that everything on the 3D plane can be seen from the perspective of heaven or earth. Gemini has a supergiant star at the head of each twin in its constellation, highlighting the light of celestial and intuitive intelligence balanced with Gemini's need for trial and error. Gemini's association with the herald of the cosmos, Mercury, promises a season of love, compassion, and communication through Pisces, innovation through Aries, and system building through Taurus. Don't seek out pure perfection. Only seek out the stereoscopic concept of every ideal from both sides of the obsidian mirror. Intellectual insight and intuitive innovation may come through phones, computers, neurosynapses, and dendrites. But this season, Gemini's clarity of vision will be the best medium for influencing the progress of large groups using the best available tools for verbal and nonverbal communications. Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Service to the community versus the reality of inequality comes to a peak this season as we teach those listening to the blues how to dance. The trumpet of Archangel Raphael will be reverberating through Mercury's caduceus held by Virgo the Virgin. This metaphoric call to action symbolizes the ending of the season of the Pisces sun and transitions us into the Aries sun. Although Aries leads the new astrological new year, Virgo and the Earth sign continuum will be setting a pace that promises not to let anyone stay home and listen to the blues. Virgo driving wisdom reminds us that being practical, stable, and predictable make you a valuable asset in all communities that have long-term plans for development. The modest and industrious precision of the Virgin will make them a high-profile catch this year as they endeavor to improve communication and commerce without becoming high-strung over the details. In the year of the horse, Virgo will not be content with keeping order and purifying. Expect lots of mercurial creativity, as there will be exploration between the space of being a virgin or a vixen. The full moon in Virgo places emphasis on the kind of order that will require constant change and adaptability this season on Earth. Capricorn drive and wisdom reminds us that we don't need to use force to resolve the various challenges that are expected during a number 7 year in the Yang modality. This fire of Earth cardinal leader contributes to the tension and anticipation of the cosmic changes scheduled by helping us define boundaries and guidelines and stick to them. The sea goat will be using its intuitive fish's tail this season to explore watery emotions and intuition each time the grounded goat cannot make it to the top of the mountain on logic alone. While the tension to be impulsive and reactive will be great, expect the most regal aspects of goat insight to carry you deep into the cosmic cornucopia of practical living. Taurus drive and wisdom reminds us that building for the future is a great recipe for success, but it does not guarantee cutting-edge innovation that is the hallmark of change. The upcoming full moon eclipse in Libra, scheduled for April 14th, will accelerate a trend of change that will define 2014. The new moon solar eclipse in Taurus, scheduled for April 28th, will accentuate the currents of change on a basis of love and virtue. Both Libra and Taurus are ruled by Venus, while the planet Venus will reside in Pisces, providing emotional expression to your affection to others and your passion for living. This can be seen as a selfless love, so please take advantage of the opportunity to build stronger foundations for love and prosperity that are connected to freedom and autonomy. Just don't get so caught up in selfless love that you martyr yourself on that grand cross. Remember, we need the wood. Put on your dancing shoes, as the tilt of the earth makes it look like the sun has now moved past the equinox on its way to the Tropic of Cancer. Uranus continues to beat the drums of freedom and independence from the provocative throne of Emperor Aries. This Aries energy continues to lock horns with Pluto and Capricorn, producing a sense of self-assurance that makes most people believe that they are the best leader in any given situation. Uranus's 84-year orbit moves into Taurus May 16, 2018 at 3:16 p.m. Universal Time. Neptune aligns beautifully with Chiron in Pisces. Dreams, healing, nurture, and spiritual nourishment will make the next month's climb to the full moon in Libra feel more like an energetic gain. However, the planets coming in and out of the retrograde cycles will feel a bit like Sisyphus pushing a boulder up the hill. Neptune's 165-year orbit moves into Aries March 31st of 2025 at approximately 12 noon Universal Time. Pluto in Capricorn continues to battle it out with all of our issues of spiritual, economic, and karmic debt, sensual sovereignty, and our ability to handle change. Since Capricorn is ruled by the planet of contraction, Saturn, this makes huge changes due to upheaval very challenging. Since Pluto has a 247-year orbit, each journey through a different zodiac sign should have its own distinct metamorphosis. But given that we just discovered Pluto less than 100 years ago, it will be centuries before we know just how radical this dwarf planet impacts the netherworlds throughout the cosmos. Pluto will move into Aquarius January 21st of 2024 at 1:50 a.m. Universal Time. Since Mars is in Libra until May, there will be an emphasis on revisiting all philosophies involving commitment and open enemies in general. Just keep in mind that the enemies represent a certain level of commitment that you might want to reconsider. With the passing of the spring equinox, perhaps you might benefit from letting go of any energy spent on the contempt or hatred of others. The full moon in Virgo, followed by the full moon in Libra, are both centered on the myth of Astrea, humanity, ascension, and the unified understanding of cosmic consciousness that many call love. Don't forget to invest your passion or burning desire into all of the wishes and hopes that you want to manifest. If there is any truth to the quantum theory that thoughts create reality, then perhaps this season's lesson is to stay focused on that which you want. If we are spirits in the material world, how do we resolve the conflict between living in a shallow 3D consciousness? If we are multidimensional beings, do we have a greater responsibility to co-create equality and opportunity for all? The tension, upheaval, and change serve to light up our awareness as we collectively move towards unity consciousness and apotheosis. Learning how to transmute negative vibrations into positive learning experiences gives us the opportunity to spread good vibrations throughout the collective unconsciousness. Consciously transcending all challenges and changes advances us one step deeper into the age of Aquarius.